Coach, so Frank Martin's teams are known to be physical, rebound well. You guys ready for this challenge? You think you live up to that physicality challenge?
We're going to find out, right? Yeah, they play the same way every year. Like, they're going to be tough, they're going to be physical, and that's no different this year. So we understand kind of what that challenge is going to be on Friday, and it'll be a great test for us to see if we can match that type of physicality.
The rebounding wasn't great in the first game, but and he talked about that afterwards. Do you think this can be a good, adequate, great rebounding team? What's your future prognosis of them there?
Yeah, I think we can be a good rebounding team. I mean, the things that I'm seeing right now isn't just getting overwhelmed. It's more about we got to continue to create better habits, and you got to lay bodies on people. You got to hit, and most of the rebounds that we're not getting is just a lack of executing those type of box outs. So that's been our mission kind of from June till now, is to continue to get better and better at that. But I anticipate that we're going to get there one way or the other, that we'll be able to get bodies on people and be a good rebounding team.
You used the word hit a couple of times in reference to rebounding. How are you practicing that? Do you use blockout pads? Do you other things to kind of emphasize that and say you've got to really create contact?
Yeah, for the most part, in the summertime, we do maybe a little more live combat, if you will. As we get into the season here, it's more of the pads and just doing reps of hitting a pad, just to reinforce creating that, but not necessarily hitting bodies every single practice right now.
He got 26 in that first game. What do you see from him? What's his issues? He had 8 threes.
Yeah, he shoot it. Yeah, he can score. He's a good scorer. So we're gonna have to do a good job on him, making sure that we're aware of where he is and the type of ways that he likes to score. But good player, can really put it in and put it in the bucket.
Size too. They got the 6'8" and the 6'10" kid. Both of them scored doubles. What do you see there from their two bigs?
Yeah, they're aggressive. Again, like we talked about, they're gonna pound the glass. They're gonna try and throw it in there. They're gonna try and out tough you in the interior. And collectively as a group, that's just kind of their mindset. All the way across. So, but good physical, tough players.
Do they send 5 to the glass? Is there opportunities if you grab rebounds to get runouts? Have you seen that from them?
Yeah, there's opportunities. I mean, anytime there's a team that's pretty aggressive on the offensive glass, that you can create some opportunities in transition too. But we got to do our job first. That's number one. We got to get the ball. Yeah, and if you got to make them miss first, that's part of it too. So you can get one. But that'll be the challenge. Is how do we get them to miss that first one and then not let them get a second one.
So does Sincere Harris automatically get the best offensive player pretty much no matter who you got? How do you match that up?
I think for the most part, he doesn't give me much of an option. He's just like, I'm taking him, coach. So I'm a pretty agreeable guy. So I was like, sounds good. Some of that would depend on as we go. There might be some matchups where it's a power forward or something. But from a perimeter standpoint, he loves that challenge, and I love the fact that he embraces that.
On the alley-oop dunk attempt, you had him come over and coach with you a little bit after that alley-oop try there.
Yeah, I was just trying to tell him how I would have done it, but it was we had some fun with that one afterwards.
When you're talking about physical play, it kind of made me think back to, I remember a number of years ago where Izzo used to have his guys practice shoulder pads and helmets, and I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways to stress the physicality point, but I mean, not every team is physical, right? I mean, is there any dangers of trying to make a finesse kind of team more physical, or vice versa? I mean, it's almost like maybe trying to change the overall idea sometimes, maybe.
I want our teams to be physical, so we're going to do everything we can to be as physical as possible. I mean, we want that to be our identity, the way people talk about Coach Martin's team. I want them to talk about our team that way. That they're gonna come out. They're gonna play tough. They're gonna play physical, and that's gonna be what we're gonna try and make our identity every day. And so.
Have you done that? The shoulder pads, helmets, or anything?
I've done it before. We did it when we were at Creighton. We didn't have a football team, so we had to borrow another team's helmets. So,
Did the Robert Morris tape look as good as it did in real time?
the first 10 minutes, yeah, they looked. That's about how you'd want it to look as a coach. I thought we were very aggressive. I thought we played tough, physical, defensively. I thought offensively we moved it, shared it, executed pretty well, took care of the ball. That was what you'd like to see. So again, like we mentioned after the game, it's just we got to continue to work on sustaining that for longer periods of time, and that's our challenge as we continue to go forward. And big test on Friday with a physical team that's going to get after us a little bit.
So you had to borrow another team's helmets. Whose helmets did you have to borrow?
Nebraska, Omaha, in town. Yeah, so they might still have one in their storage room at Creighton. I don't know, but yeah.
Did you watch any of the game last year against UMass?
The assistants watched the full game. I haven't watched the full game yet. I've only seen some clips of it, but obviously that was a physical game from all accounts that I've been told. So and they have a little bit different roster from a year ago as well. So but their identity's still the same.
If I go back to something from after the game, like you mentioned, kind of like scripting your start, right? Does that come from scouting report? Is that stuff that you watch and practice, saying, "Wow, we're pretty good at this all of a sudden," or "This is a good action"? How do you figure out what to do there?
Yeah, so basically for each scout, we'll take a collection of plays out of our whole playbook and pick 10 to 15, and it varies game to game, of things we think would work against what they do defensively, and that'll be what we'll focus on for that game and try to run that grouping of plays throughout the game. Doesn't mean we can't pull from the rest of the playbook during the game if something else kind of presents itself, but in general that's kind of the idea behind the scout.
At the start, if you figure that you have a good matchup, you want to get somebody rolling, whether it's in the post or on the perimeter, do you try to heat somebody up early if you can, if you think it's going to be a good day for that person?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to approach it, and again, a game by game. Maybe you're just trying to get somebody a little confidence that's been struggling, or maybe it's getting one of your better scorers, some early looks. There's certainly different approaches to each game or each half, even sometimes in the second half. Hey, we got to get this guy going a little bit. He's been a little quiet, so let's try to see if we can get him an easy one to start a second half. So.
What happened with your son in this game, first game? That he scored the first 8 points?
No, he kind of did that on his own, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, he got a steal and a dunk. We didn't design that one. Yeah.
You mentioned the laws. How do you guard against it? What can you do as a staff? I mean, other than, I guess, sub. When you talk about these laws where you get out to that and then you get these, points where you don't score, or it doesn't go the way you want it to, what do you do?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it happens in basketball. You have those, stretches where you can have some empty possessions or whatever, and they can turn into 3, 4, 5 minutes sometimes, and that's tough. So I think the biggest thing is just making sure when you have a few empty possessions to try to make sure that third, fourth, fifth possession, whatever it may be, that you get a good shot.
You call a set then maybe?
Most of the time, yeah. We'll try to get maybe a look we want. You just have to be careful because it can slow you down a little bit too, and I still want to see, even in transition, to stay aggressive against a broken floor, broken defense. So the more you run sets, the more the game's going to slow down, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want to make sure we take every opportunity we can to get out and run in transition.
Defensive rebounding, some players can go for block shots and still recover, box out, get to the boards. Some, it kind of takes them out of position and they don't recover as well. So do you look for that and try to coach that, say, hey, don't get in the mindset of just chasing and swinging at the ball?
Yeah, I think you have to be careful, and we don't have an elite shot blocking team either. Some teams are like, go get every ball, go try to block everything. We have to be a little more selective of, hey, if you're going to go, you got to get it, because now even if they miss, there's nobody left on that backside to clean it up. So you want to be a little more selective on that. Try to play it as one-on-one as you can, and wall up, verticality. That way you got all the bodies you need to try to hit on the backside.
Look at the physicality aspect. What do you, statistic maybe wise, what do you look at besides rebounding to let you know that you're matching or exceeding it? mean, handling adverse situations? What exactly do you
I
look
mean,
for outside of the
to me, it's really just what your eyes tell you. I mean, you know, even defensively, we don't chart deflections or, you know, hey, we got to get this number of, you know, tips or, you know, that type of stuff. Ours is just like, are we gritty? Are we tough? You know, are we getting through screens? Like, you know, you can kind of see it and feel it almost when you're hooked up the way we want to be playing. And that's kind of how we base our physicality. Like we said, hitting bodies on rebounds, like, that's just a mindset overall that we want to make sure that we come into every game with.
Along that same line, playing a physical team, is Tanner ready to go in there and mix it up with a team like this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, as this year goes on, we'll learn a lot about our guys, and you know, every game, every night out, you'll see, you know, kind of their strengths and weaknesses. But I think he's ready. I love the poise he played with the other night. I thought he did a really good job for a freshman point guard to come in and play the way he did. So I'm excited for him. He's confident. He's aggressive, and that's what we want.
You're about a week away from early signing period. We know you have 2 commits, but how many do you think you'll sign during this? Have you thought a ton about? Well, I'm sure you have. That's a stupid question. What's recruiting going to look like in a week or so?
I don't know. Might have a surprise. Might not have a surprise. The reality is we're just always recruiting. So, you know, we have recruits on campus that come into games, official visits, and that'll continue throughout the year. So, you know, you always just wait for, you know, the ones that, you know, want to be here, want to be a part of it. And when they're ready, we're ready. And that's the way we'll approach it. But
I've asked you about this a little bit before, but it's sort of 50-50 split for you with newcomers between transfers and true recruits. How would you like that proportion to be?
yeah, I think in the ideal world, you get, you know, some returners, and then you have some freshmen coming in, and then, you know, fill some needs in the portal in the spring. And that's, that way you have some, you know, something that you can sustain for a longer period. You got some continuity. In the ideal world, that would be it. But you also have to be able to adapt to what the situation presents itself as. You know, if you know, lose some guys in the portal, you got to make sure you're got yourself covered to be able to fill those holes and those needs.
I know you mentioned one of the red numbers for you was the offensive rebounds. They got 16. And I look at New Hampshire; they got 18 against what you think would be a good rebound. What do you deduct from that?
I mean, they were aggressive too, New Hampshire. And also, they missed a lot, so there were more to get. I just think overall they were pretty aggressive attacking the glass as well. So, you know, and again, the rebounding, it is both ends. You know, defensively, we got to hit bodies, and then offensively, we tell our guys, you got to do your job. We got, you know, certain guys that need to get back, and the other guys we need to go get some ourselves so we can get those second opportunities as well.
What did you see from Robert Morris? What were they? Was it just misses too? Bad misses or just box outs?
Yeah,
a combination of things.
Yeah, a combination of things. You know, there was a few times, probably 4 or 5, where we had, you know, our hands on the ball and we didn't rip it off. You know, and then it, you know, bobbled it and fell into their hands. So again, that's a little bit of a mindset too of, you get that hand on the ball, you got to come away with it, and you know, so and then the rest were, you know, box outs or, you know, different types of things, and they all add up to a lot of offensive rebounds, and that's why we got to get better in that area.
Generally, were you happy with the way they went after? Just got to finish.
Yeah, I think in general we went after, you know, went after the ball and stuff. The box out piece, you know, that's the part we got to get better at. But I thought our mindset was fine. You know, we went to go try and get it. We just got to get a little nastier with it.
Coach, the UMass game itself, it's basically a return game from last year's meeting. The fact that it's the second game of the year, a little bit of a challenge, does that present kind of like what you would like philosophy-wise, schedule-wise, to have like an early challenge early in the year? Or I'm assuming, you know, you can come out of this game and you'll have a really early picture of, you know, what needs work, what looks good, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that, you know, where the games kind of fall, it's like I think every game's a big challenge. So, you know, the scrimmages help too. You know, you get an opportunity to see your team there as well. But, you know, you have all summer and fall to get ready to play, and it's like we got to go play. And Friday it's UMass. So, you know, they got an early season game as well. So for both of us, it's get those challenges early, late, wherever it is. They're hopefully you're ready for them.
Is getting, you said getting nastier, is nasty a skill?
That's deep.
Like, you wouldn't ask, like, if you would, I'll say you wouldn't ask a center to shoot threes, but like, you wouldn't ask somebody to do something they can't. Like, is that something that you can make everybody do, like, hey, go hit this guy or play
Yeah,
him? Like, maybe the guy doesn't have it.
Yeah, I just we want our identity to be kind of tough and physical, and that's what we want every guy's mindset to be, to try to play to that. I don't think that's necessarily a skill. I think some guys maybe naturally are it's easier for them to go that way, but I think it's again, certain teams have a reputation for how they play, and we want our reputation to be kind of along those same lines.
What was your reputation as a player?
Slow.
I know that.
You're a big jump defense guy. You like to have something in your hip pocket when you need to pull out and stop. I'm sure Monday or Tuesday or whatever was vanilla. Do you like to have something in your hip pocket?
Yeah, we have some things that throughout the year that you like to have that you can throw out there. We work on them a lot, and then I always chicken out and end up just sticking to man. Because at the end of the day, it's you got to be able to mix up maybe how you're coveraging or what your coverages are in man to man. But if that's what you spend 90% of it, I want us to be good at that. And if whatever other defenses you have, if you don't put time on them, you can't expect to be good at them. So you can throw them out there, and they may work on a given night just to throw somebody off. But yeah,
Stop a run maybe.
right. I think I went zone 3 times last year, and I think they made 3 threes all 3 times. So yeah.
Not like a point drop or a 1-3-1 or a 1-1-3 or something crazy like that. That's not your MO.
Yeah, we did a lot of matchup zone. I did it one year, I think my 3rd year at Drake, we did man on misses, zone on makes, until we got into conference play, and then they started making 3s, so we quit doing that. But
Was that just to cover up some of the things that?
it was a little bit. We did it a lot when I was with Dana Altman at Creighton. We did a lot of that. We did a lot of 3/4 court press back into a matchup zone. So spent, I think, almost 12 years doing that there. So it's something we have. It's something we work on, some, but we just haven't used it a lot.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.